Hey folks, this is Man once again, and welcome back to another thoughts on a pay-per-view, wrestling pay-per-view. This is, of course, WrestleMania III, which is considered one of the best WrestleManias of all time, in the Pontiac Silverdome in 1987. Aretha Franklin saying America the Beautiful. Yeah, Bob, how the fuck do you say it? Bob Urich. I don't know why this. I mean, he's a baseball guy, but it's like mostly his thing is, "Where's Fabulous Moolah?" And then the next year, "Where's Vanna White?" I mean, he didn't need to be there, but WrestleMania 3, I thought was a pretty decent WrestleMania. Definitely the best of the three so far, because you had some memorable matches. I mean, you have, of course, Macho Man versus Ricky Steamboat, which is definitely the best match of this pay-per-view. You had Jake the Snake versus Honky Tonk Man, which that was a fun one. Alice Cooper was with Jake the Snake. You had Adrian Adonis versus Roddy Piper. That was another very fun one. Of course, you had Hogan versus Andre, which I know I gave some crap at WrestleMania 2 thoughts. It's an and again, I haven't uploaded that, so I haven't read any comments. But it is an iconic match. I will say that. But when you look at it, it's not a good match. It's iconic, and I'll get to that. Has a good build up. There's good stuff to it. It's just when it was considered one of the best matches of all time, which when I was a kid I kept hearing that. And I would see it and I enjoy it as a kid, but I don't think I'm alone in saying that okay, it's iconic, but it's not one of the best matches of all time. It's not one of the greatest matches of all time. Hogan has had better matches. I think his fight with Piper and the wrestling, no, the war to settle the score, I think that was a better match. I think he had a better match with King Kong Bundy. I think he has a better match with Macho Man and Ultimate Warrior and even Big Boss Man, the Steel Cage match. That's on one of the DVDs I have. I mean, but that's because his opponents could do more. Andre could not do much. That's one guy says Andre couldn't do shit. So if it gets carried, it's because of Hogan doing the best that he could with the body slam, him punching Andre and hurting his hand. Um, I mean, I think Hogan probably did the best that he could, and there was a good build up to it. So it's not like one of the worst matches of all time either, like some people say, but it's not one of the best either. I mean, I would definitely say I like the Piper and the Macho Man Steamboat match better, but so yeah, I mean, I was a bit hard on it on WrestleMania 2, but because I'm like this one with King Kong Bundy, which no one remembers, no one mentions, I think that's a better match than the Andre Hogan one. It doesn't have a better build up, but I'm just talking about the match itself. But I think the reason Andre and Hogan wasn't the match itself. It was the body slam heard around the world, and it was the build up to it. But I was just talking about the match itself. But anyway, at the end of that, this is the one where everyone came into the ring in those mini rings. They were carried over to the ring. I thought that was a fun thing. You had the Can-Am connection, which actually one of them is Rick Martel, which I remember is Rick the Model Martel. He would later become that. But here, the two good guys versus Don Morocco and Cowboy Bob Orton. Okay opening match. Rick Martel and his partner flip a guy over at the same time. I think that's called a double Monty flip. Interesting way to end it where one partner is on the ground and the other partner switches, does a crossbody on their opponent so that they also trip over their other guy and able to pin it 1, 2, 3. Can-Am wins. It was okay for what it was. Billy Jack Haynes versus Hercules. The whole build-up is that who is the master of the full Nelson, where you take a guy from behind, you hold him like this. No, I am. No, I am. And pretty much, shitty match. Both are slow. Double count out. Because the guy's putting the full Nelson outside, even though they get counted out. And then Hercules afterward hits him in the face with chains. And I didn't even know who the fuck Billy Jack Haynes was. I've heard of Hercules. I remember him, and he'll be in early parts of WrestleManias. But boring match, really. That's what it was, a boring match. This one was just stupid. King Kong Bundy and two little people, including one called Little Tokyo, and they kept using the word midget, versus Hillbilly Jim and two other little guys, including one called Haiti Kid, which I remember that's the one that Roddy Piper shaved to look like Mr. T. And the whole stipulation is that if a big guy's in, it has to be another big guy. If a little person in, it has to be another little guy. Hillbilly Jim, did he ever win anything, Hillbilly Jim? I guess technically he won this because of a DQ. Because King Kong Bundy said fuck it and did a big old elbow right onto one of the little guys. But it's like, wow, King Kong Bundy, what a fall from grace. You go from, I'm going to fight Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 2 in the main event. And now in WrestleMania 3, I'm with two little people, and I'm fighting a guy named Hillbilly Jim and two other little people. In which it wasn't much of a match, so then big elbow on the little guy, DQ. Man, you think politics were in WWF, WWE nowadays? They were there back then. I don't know if it's politics, but just like, again, going from fighting Hulk Hogan to now fighting little people in like this circus act. So that was pretty lame. Teen Harley Race versus Junkyard Dog in a loser must kneel match. I thought it was pretty lame. I mean, I will say Teen Harley Race has some fun, sort of like Ric Flair would do, where he bid, and selling it, where Junkyard Dog hits him, and Teen Harley Race, his whole body goes over the rope and lands on the ground, but Teen Harley Race couldn't do much. And JYD loses by pretty much Teen Harley Race doing a belly-to-belly suplex. Grab him and slam down. That's it. I'm like, okay. It was pretty much a clean loss, even though the announcers are going, oh, he was distracted. And I'm like, well, he was distracted, but it's not like he got hit in the head with a megaphone or... No, he got grabbed, belly suplex. I mean, this is a move that is a typical move that people do. That's like, I'm going to give you a body slam, and it wasn't even a finishing move. Like a pile driver. It was a typical move. And he lost to that. And then JYD, bows, but then gets the chair, hits him with the chair, steals the robe, and I'm like, I think it's cool that JYD got the last lap, but I'm like, you still lost. And it was pretty much a clean loss. It just shows they just had nothing for JYD to do. It's like, he's a crowd favorite. He doesn't have to win. I don't know, just... And of course, throughout you have interviews. The one I remember is Hogan saying, when I finished hanging and banging. I'm like, what did he say? When I finished hanging and banging? But Hogan was great in promos back then. The Rougeau brothers versus the Dream Team, which was Brutus Beefcake and Great Valentine. I just remember Beefcake not doing a damn thing. Doing one thing, screwing up, hitting his partner. And I don't remember anything else. I think they sort of left Beefcake behind. Because this is sort of the turning point where now he's going to be the good guy. Like Beefcake, he's a heel. And in the next match, he's going to be a good guy. Because, and by this point, I'm like, man, for WrestleMania 3, considered one of the great WrestleManias of all time, this is actually pretty damn lousy. Because Can-Am Connection versus Morocco and Bob Orton was there. Billy Jack Haynes versus Hercules. It was shitty. King Kong Bundy and Two Little People versus Hillbilly Jim and Two Little People. It was shitty. Tina Early Race versus JYD. It was pretty much kind of shitty. Rougeau Brothers versus Dream Team. Didn't give a fuck. Don't give a shit about the Rougeau Brothers. Didn't give a fuck about the Dream Team. Unless it's fucking Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley and whoever the fuck else. Magic Johnson. It was about an hour or so in that I really started giving a fuck because it started with Adrian Adonis versus Roddy Piper, and the whole build-up was that Adrian Adonis had this show called The Flower Shop that was trying to take over Piper's pit and would attack Piper, and by this time Piper was a good guy. And this is supposed to be his last match because after this he filmed movies like They Live. He was going to do movies. And he was going to be a movie star, and I liked Hell Comes to Frogtown. I liked They Live, but they did nothing. So ultimately, he later came back, but this is supposed to be his last match. And the loser gets his head shaved clean. And this was a fun match. I mean, not only because I miss Piper, and at this point he's a good guy, but throws Adrian Adonis, nice throw to the turnbuckle, knocking heads with him and the manager, Jimmy the Mouth. Jimmy Mouth of the South. Using Jimmy as a weapon and throwing him at Adrian Adonis. Then Adrian does something stupid. He gets Piper in a sleeper, thinks he won and lets him go. Bruce Beefcake comes in to wake Piper up, and then Piper, puts him in the sleeper and wins. And pretty much gets Beefcake to cut Adrian Adonis' hair. And Piper comes in with a mirror. He's dancing around, showing Adrian Adonis, and he's moving around, getting pissed off. And I would like to have seen more offense from Piper, more punches and stuff. If this was supposed to be his last match, but it was still a fun match. And also, that was how Brutus the Barber Beefcake was born. That's how he was the Barber Beefcake. So it was a fun match. Jason Ventura gets introduced, and they mention about the opening of Predator, because this was 87. So it was nice having Predator be mentioned. The Hart Foundation versus the Bulldogs. Well, it was the Hart Foundation and Danny Davis, who was a referee who turned bad, versus Tito Santana and the British Bulldogs. And this was decent. It was a decent tag team, but, Hart Foundation, Bret Hart, they work well together. Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid are good workers, so they worked well together. When Tito Santana's hitting the bad guy referee Danny Davis, the crowd was going ape shit. Anytime that guy, they really hated the dangerous Danny Davis. They really hated that ref, and when Tito's hitting him, people were going crazy. It's like, yeah. And the crowd's going insane, but then you have a megaphone hitting one of them. I think they put Danny Davis on him. They did Danny Davis out, and the crowd were like booing. Someone's giving a finger right to Danny Davis's face, uh, just being really cocky, like "fuck you." So that was a fun match. That was pretty decent. And then Bobby Brain has an interview, and Andre's just standing there staring. Butch Reed versus Coco Beware. You know, Coco Beware, he could do some decent stuff, some good drop kicks and hip toss, but pretty much Butch Reed beats Coco Beware. Coco Beware, pretty much he's a glorified jobber. Because anytime you see Coco Beware, he never wins. He never wins. He loses this match. There's another WrestleMania that he's in a tag team, and he's the one that gets pinned. I remember, I think when Yokozuna came in to Raw, it was like the first match of Raw, Yokozuna versus Coco Beware, and Coco lost. Anytime Coco Beware was in there, he would lose. Anytime. It's like, hey, people like him, and he loses all the time. So, and for some reason, Tito Santana was there, and I'm like, why the fuck does Tito Santana show up? Like, he showed up when I think JYD is like, this is. Are they really trying to push Tito Santana like being the ultimate good guy? And oh, he's hitting Danny Davis. Or it's like they're really trying to push this guy and doing no matter what they can. Like, oh my God, Coco lost and Tito's there to help him. It's like, what the fuck is Tito Santana doing there? Ricky Steamboat versus Macho Man. One more can be said about that match that hasn't been said already. Awesome match. Best match of the night. Great story. Build up where Macho Man hit Ricky Steamboat and Steamboat landed his throat against the gate between the crowd and the ring, and then Macho Man landed a bell on Steamboat's neck. Steamboat was out of commission. His throat's getting better. He wants payback. George the Animal Steel is in his corner because George didn't like Macho Man either. Some nice back and forth. Just a good story that was told. Trying to pin them as many times as they can. Close pins. Just a great story. I mean, hell, you could put the fucking Rocky, like, score from Rocky 4 called War in there. And I mean, it would work well. It just really great back and forth, and just a great story told. Just a great match. It was really fun to watch. I mean, it helps because I really like Ricky Steamboat and I like Macho Man, so that helps too. But it was just, no matter what I say, it's not enough. Everyone has said that this is one of the great matches in WrestleMania history, and it really is. Especially around this time. I mean, not much more I can say that hasn't been said about that match. It's, some people say it's overrated. I disagree. They have Jake the Snake versus Honky Tonk Man. You have some nice stuff. Giving Honky Tonk the knee, beating the shit out of him, giving a body slam and a clothesline, an inverted atomic drop. I swear sometimes the ref was like a shitty ref. Because there's certain stuff that happened. I'm like, ref, are you fucking blind? Pretty much Jake the Snake loses, but that's because... Wait, I gotta remember the outcome. I can't remember it now. I gotta look it up. Shit. Because I'm trying to see if Honky Tonk lost because of DQ or because... I just gotta look it up real quick. And this is gonna take a little bit. But I know the funny thing is that Alice Cooper was in Jake the Snake's corner. And Alice Cooper didn't really have much to do, but it was kind of cool to see Alice Cooper in there. I'm trying to go to where that was. When Jay went for the DDT, the manager Jimmy Hart pulled Roberts' legs, and the Honky Tonk Man rolled up Roberts from behind, held onto the ropes, and pinned him for the win. Yeah, because he rolls him up and then he's grabbing the ropes, and the ref is like right there. You can easily see it. And yes, I know wrestling's fake, but even for kayfabe, it's like, come on, you gotta do better than that. So Honky Tonk wins by cheating, and Jake gets pissed, gets the guitar, ready to smash it right in his face, and misses and smashes it to pieces against the post. So fun match. Shitty that Jake the Snake lost, but pretty much they get Jimmy Hart and stay at shower with a snake, and he definitely beat the shit out of Honky Tonk Man because I've never liked the Honky Tonk Man. Again, it's too bad that he lost, but it is what it is. It's still a fun match. Still liked it. Iron Sheik and Volkov, they're singing their anthem, and then Jim Dutton comes in and tries to steer them off, and then Iron Sheik, Volkov versus Killer Bees. Really a nothing match. And then Hogan versus Andre. Of course, Andre was a good guy, but then on a Piper's Pit, he comes in with Bobby the Brain Heenan, Bobby the Brain saying, you never offered him a championship, and Hogan's like, oh, he put these lies into your head, or he put this stuff in your head, and Andre ripped the Hogan shirt and the crucifix, and it was a good build-up. It really was. It was why people came to WrestleMania 3, although it wasn't 90,000 people like they keep saying. It was like 70,000 people there. That's why they lie about shit. And again, the build-up was fun. Hogan's promos are good. There's stuff I do remember. It is an iconic match. When they're standing together, I always remember Hogan, behind the back. I can't know if you see. And Jesse Ventura going, what's Hogan saying to him? And like Hogan's like talking a mile a minute, and I don't know what he's saying, but there's certain images I remember when I was a kid. That punching Andre's head and doing this. Oh, he's hurting his hand. Of course, he first attempts a body slam, falls over, almost gets a 3 count, and then just Andre's matches at this time sucked. No matter who was in it, Andre couldn't do much. I mean, like, that's what I would give to the Big Show. The Big Show could do a lot more than Andre. Andre just couldn't do anything, and Hogan can only do what Hogan is somewhat limited as well. But when you have a guy who's even more limited than him, what can you really do? It's like, oh, here's a bear hug that seems to last forever. Gets Hogan against a post. It's so obvious that Andre didn't really hit his head on the post. I mean, he's about this far away. It'd be like, oh, it looks absolutely fake, but yet he's acting like he's hurt. Hogan tries to clear on the ground the cement. I guess he's going to lift Andre, but then Andre puts him in a bat flip. Hogan does a clothesline that knocks Andre down, lifts him up, body slam her around the world, leg drop. I think, did he do the leg drop? I know he does the body slam against the road. I think he did the leg drop, then 1, 2, 3. It just, when you look at the match itself, it's, yeah, I remember Hogan hurting his hand. I like that bit. Body slamming a guy that big, that was cool. But, I mean, if I'm honest, yeah, it's better than Billy Giant Haynes versus Hercules or Harley Race versus JYD or stuff, but it's not one of the great matches of all time either. But at the same time, it is an iconic match. But I think Hogan has had a lot actual better matches. Maybe not. Again, that I know that's sort of the two sides to it. One side, which again, if people are explaining this to me at WrestleMania 2, I'm like, I already know. I haven't uploaded that video, so I already know. Again, I'm sort of stockpiling these for a rainy week or whatever, but it's iconic because of the build-up, those two figures involved in the same match, and those key moments that people remember, the body slam. It's just, again, when you look at the match itself, it's really pretty boring match. When you look at it, it's a pretty boring match to watch nowadays. And again, I feel the match in WrestleMania 2 was better. The match at WrestleMania 1 was a bit better. Um, some of Hogan's later matches were better. Again, because Andre couldn't do anything. Andre couldn't do much of anything. And that's why. So, it just, it's not one of the great matches of all time, is what I'm getting at. Then when you really look at it, it's kind of a shitty match. Some good moments, but anyway, I'm being a dead horse. But overall, WrestleMania 3, I mean, I would say it's the best of the first three I've seen so far. Just because of the Ricky Steamboat Macho Man match. The iconic part of the Hogan Andre match. I like the Jake the Snake versus Honky Tonk Man. I like the Piper versus Adrian Adonis. So you had some good matches. You still had some shit ones, but you had some good ones there. And that's definitely the most, of the first three, it's definitely the most iconic WrestleMania one. So overall, I liked it. I would say it's better than the first two. I don't hate the first two. Again, I was like, it's between decent and kind of shitty. Here, you have some shit, but this, again, of the stuff I've seen so far, this is definitely the best one so far. WrestleMania 3. One of the best of all time? I don't know, but still pretty decent. Again, I like the way how things just worked back then, so that helps my enjoyment as well. So overall, that's my thoughts on WrestleMania 3. Thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you later.